is another line, right? So I'm going to minimize this for a second just so I at least have the slides of, today is not the 8th. Sorry, I meant to change that, but I don't change it till you guys show up so that I can keep track of who did what on what day. So Blue did this yesterday, right? But now I need to change this to 11 for you guys. So we're behind, so we are going to try to cover 2 days. But because Green's behind tomorrow, we just have a Desmos activity. I think it's live and I think it's unpaused. So if you go into Desmos, you can get to it. But you don't need to. We'll do that tomorrow, and we'll finish up anything that we don't get to today. So first off, transversal is a line that crosses another line, right? So if you want to make it as easy as possible, you can say crossing line, but what it creates is angles. So a transversal is not going to be curved because it creates angles that we can measure, right? Angles created with straight lines. Lines, rays, points, intersections. Awesome. In a set of angles, we have certain relationships that are formed that create certain, we have certain relationships that are formed that have certain names. These names are listed on your paper. We start with, I can't roll the R for that. I'm just going to show you all these and then take any questions that we have. Corresponding means in the same location. Oh, crud. Guys, I need to get smarter with this. Here's what I should do. I only just realized this in Math 7. I should open a docs and just show you the docs. Not docs myself. That would be bad. So you have this image right here. This is going to be easier because then I can just write up on the board. So corresponding angles, especially because like we have a little bit of space in this class, mean they're in the same location when we look at the parallel line and the transversal. Let's talk about what I mean by that. Angle 2 is on top to the right, right? It's on top of the parallel line to the right of the transversal. So what other angle is on top to the right? 6. So I need you to write down some examples of corresponding angles over there. So like 2 and 6. Now what that means is they are congruent. So what we're going to write down is angle 2, the congruent symbol, which is the equal with the squiggly, is congruent to angle 6. Angle 2 is congruent to angle 6. I want you to find another corresponding pair on your own. And beside where it says corresponding, oh, crud. So beside corresponding, and actually over here might be the best space to put it, corresponding angles are always congruent. If the lines are parallel, that's what that symbol is. The equals with the squiggly means congruent. It means equals, equal. We'll talk more about it. It's a geometric symbol for saying equals. So, what I need you to write right here is what allows us to say all of these things. So I can't highlight with this. One of the dumb things is there's no highlighter thing here unless I don't know how to get to it. If lines A and B are parallel, what we will see is this. That means A is parallel to B. Now, if you want to try to be funny, A is across the street from B. It looks like a road between them. But no, A is parallel to B. And over here, what we have to do to show that is there would be arrows notating that those lines are parallel. They can be a single stack, a double stack, a triple stack, whatever, however big of a burger you want. So, if the one has 2, the other one has to have 2. Now, if one has 1 and the other has 2, not parallel. These are 2 different symbols. So that messes it up. Now, sometimes you'll see this like that. It looks like a weird place, but that's the same. Often this is also meaning they're the same length. They're parallel and equidistant, because right, we use tick marks to talk about distances. Does corresponding make sense? Any questions about corresponding? Alternate interior, you cannot keep that though. You can copy anything you need, but you cannot keep it. Gonna change colors. Interior means inside the parallel lines. Inside the parallel lines. Anyone need highlighters? Is that what you were just like raising your hand for? Oh, that was a big throw. Sorry, anyone else? I'll try to throw better. Wipe them off at the end. Anyone else? Highlighters are wonderful.
Yeah, I only have one.
I'll roll it to you if you are afraid of me throwing it to you. I'm not a good athlete. Rulers? Anyone want a ruler?
I'll take it. Yeah, mine actually hurt.
So, alternate means two different sides of the transversal. So if I look at 3, it's on the inside, right? So it's interior. What is the alternate to 3? Well, not 5 because it's on the same side. So 6. So write an example in here. Angle 3. Now wait, does it look like they're the same size or different sizes?
Same size.
They are congruent. So alternate interior are also congruent. Now I bet you can figure out same side interior, but what's the relationship they make? They are supplementary. So our same side interiors, like 3 and 5, will create so they sum to 180 is what supplementary tells us, right? So sum to 180. So like angle 3 and angle 5. And we're going to write angle 3 plus angle 5 equals 180. That is the relationship that we get. Is those same side interiors sum to 180. And I want you to try to figure out same side exterior on your own. Write down an example of the pairs and what do you think they do? Are they congruent? Are they supplementary? Are they complementary? What do you think I'll try? Since you guys are late, I'm going to pick on you.
1 and 7 would be same side exterior, and then we equal to sum of 180 making us.
Yeah. So same side looks like we're going to end up supplementary. So this also goes here, saying angle 1 plus angle 7. Anyone have any questions about what I've written there? Hint, my angle symbols changed. It should be catching your eyes that I used little archies in some of them and I didn't in other ones.
Well, that's why you just messed up.
Often, yes. Now, no. Here's the difference between this symbol and this symbol. Right now, I can technically use whichever one I want. This is naming the angle. It's just saying angle B, angle 1, angle purple. I don't use colors. I just like to say that as a joke. This is saying the size of angle B is like some amount of degrees. This is talking about the size, the measure. So another way to write this symbol, and you'll probably see Khan do this, this means the measure of the angle. If you want to write it fast, because like on the computer, this doesn't exist unless you're using math software and it has that symbol. So on the computer, you would type M and then the angle symbol, like the gator. And actually, normally there's an angle symbol that you can click, but the bottom of it is flat. But this means the same thing as this, measure of the angle. But if I don't have the M, it's just naming the angle. Any questions on that whole section? I need you to bump down to the next section. Oh, I meant to, I should have given you blank notes too. You should have like yelled at me and told me that I was done. So you're fine, just copy off of here any examples that you want. It doesn't have to be the exact examples. And then don't look at my answers for the next section. In the next section, try to identify the size of the unknown angles. And this is when I'm really going to start to try to call on, people at random to make sure that I interact with more of you. I think some of you are getting more during class than others because, like, you raise your hand or you speak up. And I want to make sure that I'm hearing from everybody. So try to solve all of these. You're able to pass when I call on you if you want, but I would like you to try and answer it if possible. This is where you're not waiting for me to put something on the board because you guys have it on your notes. You should be doing the entire rest of the front of the paper. And if you get done with that, flip over to the back. Start checking that out. Guys, like, I will tell you a heartfelt I'm sorry for how awkward the year has started up. The only reason I hadn't been doing notes is we hadn't been in school, like physically in school. So then I had to get myself back in the habit of how can I make notes for Khan Academy. I have notes for every single day of CPM. I spent like my whole first year teaching CPM making the notes, right? Because I'm going to teach it, I'm going to have notes. So I know some of you like have voiced your concerns like, hey, I just can't keep up with what you write in class. So like I will try to have more on the notes, but that still means I have high expectations of if I write it down, you write it down. Right? So today is less notes than normal. And hopefully every day will be less notes than what we've had previously. All right, so here's how this works. Oh my gosh. Kelly, I just wrote your name as Shannon, because that's what the seating chart thing has on there. Which, I mean, is your name, right? But, I mean, it's like, did you know that Mr. Allen, up in the 8th grade, his real name is not Kelly, but that's what he goes by. His real name is Glenn. He just didn't like the name Glenn, so he's like, I'm going to go with my middle name. Shaw, I know a lot of Shaws is the weird thing. And I'm curious if you're related to the Shaws from Coshocton. Do you have any family out in Coshocton? My high school science teacher had the last name of Shaw. And was also the bass player in a sweet band. All right, Ben, your card's on top. Tell me when to stop shuffling.
Stop.
Kelly! What is the measure of this angle X? No. It is 116. AJ, you are next. See, I'm not lying. What is the angle of X in the middle set here? It is also congruent and is 129. Please stop me if you have questions. Nick is not in the room right now. Rachel, what is the measure of X? Sorry, I just realized all of these are X, and that's dumb. But what is the measure of X here? Also congruent and is 85. Man, Hudson, you're making this too easy. Maya, what is the measure of X over here? Ooh, how'd you get that? Yeah. Now, guys, imagine this with us. The reason that this happens is if I took this line and this angle and shifted it, getting used to the new boards, and shifted it up, I want to be able to grab the line and move it, but it apparently won't let me. It would line up right here, and this angle X, okay, whatever, is right here. Right? That angle X would be right there. That is why they are supplementary. Kelly?
You can also think of it, if you take that, you kind of see how there's like an X on the top and an X on the bottom.
Yeah.
If you flip that X, the top angle is the exact same as the bottom.
So you just wait for our Desmos activity. Adam, what about this X over here in the middle? 88, because it is supplementary as well. And Ben, what about our final X here?
92.
We got to figure out the supplement of 48, so we're going to do 180 minus 40. Let's do 180 minus 50.
Yeah, first time total is 140.
Oh, yeah, it's just 48, so 132. Any questions on any of these 6? Even if I wrote it down on the board, it wouldn't matter because it won't be recorded. So as long as you guys are feeling good, we are ready to move on. So now we get to angle pair relationships. Akshay, your card is up, and then I have to shuffle because that's our whole stack. Akshay, like, how do we set up something like this? What do you see here? Can you help me out?
I see that the imagined angle AOC is equal to 104, and then the angles that are cutting it is angle AOB and EOC.
Yeah. So what we recognize, exactly what Akshay was saying, was AOC. Oh, come on. I can't work a computer, guys. And math is really tough. AOC is our entire angle. Please pay attention to the 3-point angle notation because they will try to trick you with this eventually. So AOC is the entire thing. Then I'm going to write in my 7x plus 30 for AOB. Boop, boop, boop. So my acute, well, it looks acute. And BOC. Boop, boop, boop. And we see, we need to put these together. Yes, the sound effects help. In case that's your question. Kelly? Sure, go ahead. Talk me through everything I wrote over here.
So, you have 7x plus 30 plus 9x plus 32. And it equals 104 because the two angles put together are going to equal 104. Because all B to O is doing, that line, is cutting that section in half.
Ooh, what's that called? Do you know what that line is called? Now be careful. We don't know that it's cutting it in half. You just used a math.
It's cutting it in a random spot.
Okay.
It's splitting it into 2 parts.
Do you remember what that's called, Akshay?
Well, if it's cutting it in half, that's a bisector.
If it was in half, it would be a bisector. Awkward silence.
And that would be...
I'm not sure. I'm going to leave that hanging there to make you guys curious. I realize I give you too much information of like just for free. I need to make you guys a bit more curious about things. So I'm going to leave you. If this isn't cutting it perfectly in half, what do we call that line? It's not a transversal, right? Because a transversal, we said, cuts across other lines. Do you know? I couldn't tell if that was a hand or not. Ooh. I don't know, maybe. What is a sector? We could, an intersector? Well, bisect means cut in half, right? To bi means to cut like to half or two, right? Bi either means two or halves. So when we do the algebra over here, combine like terms, get rid of your constants to isolate the variable, divide. We're not done. I promise you, now I hope you don't do this, but I promise you, At some point, you're going to get excited and accidentally get the value for x and go reach up, type it in your computer, and in the split second it takes your finger to hit the enter key, you're going to try to leave your body and stop yourself from doing it because you're going to be like, wait, that's not the size of the angle. That's the variable, and you were supposed to solve the angle. And it won't be quick enough. You'll get it wrong, and then you'll be like, come on. X equals 2 is not our answer. We must plug that in to find what they asked us for, which is actually BOC. When we plug that in, we get 60. Find QPR on your own. Find QPR on your own. A little color coding up here for you. Except I don't know if you can really see the difference between blue and green. I want to see about half of our pencils moving. If you got QPR already, go ahead and try the next ones. Where we have linear pairs. Hint, hint, we're going to write that down on our paper. Adam? Thank you for asking me. So I'm actually going to move this then and do it up on the screen. All right, so they give us QPS. We first look at what is QPS. I'm not writing. All right, so QPS is boom, boom, boom. So if I arc it just to show the angle, it's the whole thing. Right, so that I could go ahead and notate is 40, but I don't want to clutter this up, so I'm not going to write it in here. But this is 40 degrees. Makes sense because we know 90 degrees would open straight up, right? So it looks about 40. Makes sense. RPS, 8x plus 7. RPF, that's just this. And QPR is just this. So I need QPR and RPS to make QPS. Really what I'm saying, I need blue and green to make red. Does that make sense? You what? You are correct. That is not how colors work. Blue and green, I think they just make brown, don't they? I don't think blue and green make anything nice. What makes purple? Blue and red. Blue and red makes purple. So, blue and green makes red, quote unquote, we'll say for today. So what we now do is get your blue and get your green and add them up. So I'm going to say, okay, 8x plus, so I was trying to cover up that green dot and didn't really work. 8x plus 7, and, which means mathematically we add, and 9x plus 16, sum to, okay, they equal 40. Are you good on those steps? Yeah? So then, add like terms. I'm going to stay writing in red now. So add like terms, 8x, 9x, 17x, 7, 16, I don't know, 23. Math is tough. Guys, like, that's a true statement. I know it's funny when the math teacher says math is tough. Math is not easy. I would never want to teach a content that is easy because then I don't have job security. I became a math teacher because math is hard. I'm going to have a job. long time. I think we learned that robots cannot quite replace me yet. How do we finish it out? I was literally about to just ask you, take me home.
So we take 40 and we take away 23.
Absolutely. Technically, we do that on both sides, but I know that's what you're thinking.
And then we get 17 if we divide 17 by 17, which, wow, hard math.
Man, math is hard.
17 divided by 17. Excuse me, could I please have Maya to the office? Maya, to the office. Thank you.
Then, guys, here's my advice. Circle or box when you get your variable value. But in that same moment, draw your line to where you want it to go. I need QPR. I need to plug it into there. So literally, it like will tell your brain, hey, put this there. Right? So if I plug in an x of 1, oh, 9 plus 16. Oh, how do you do? Also? Yep. Plug it into both. Plug it into both. Is it true? We only want the truth. Any questions here? This is when I wish I was left-handed. This classroom setup would work better if I was left-handed. Because when I write from over there, I'm blocking Adam, and nobody really sits here because my desk. So if I was left-handed, I could write like this. Whereas like, so when you're a teacher, you learn how to write vertically. I can now write facing this way and write like this. Like I haven't done it much this year, but like that's really sloppy. So I'm going super like literally standing and writing back. Like that's not like most people would have to do it in front of them. But the old like thing teachers would say is like never turn your back to the classroom because you're like this, spitballs, paper airplanes, you know, kids jumping out windows. You can't. Yeah, you cannot turn your back to the class. All right, the last thing we really need to do today, but we have plenty of time. We really do, and that, well, this won't be the last thing we do. We're going to go ahead and keep moving on. Same thing when we're given a straight angle relationship. But what a straight angle, I want you to highlight where they say LON is a straight angle. Highlight, underline something. This is also known as, well, yes, it is also known as 180 degrees, but it's also known as a linear pair because pair, two, linear makes a line. Creative use of words here. Linear pair tells us together. Straight angle sounds like an oxymoron, right? Straight angle. What that means is you open the door all the way up, all the way around. Like my door cannot open to a straight angle. Biggest it can open to is a 90-degree angle. My front door at my house can open all the way around and hit the other wall. Like when this opens, it makes, so the straight angle is, and somebody asked me in the other class, can I just like highlight it? I should use yellow. They said, can I just highlight the straight line and say that's a straight angle? No! The straight angle is talking about the arc it made. So please make the arc. And if you want, you could go ahead and notate the whole big arc is 180. So same process. We're going to take the expressions that we have, add our like terms, so 7x, 6x gets me 13x. Negative 92, positive 12 gets me negative 80. We're going to set up the equation, do the algebra, and find our x. Do the second one on your own. Find BOC. Unless there's any questions on the first one, of course. Kelly. Why do you what?
How did you get 260?
Oh, thank you. I've stopped writing all those steps because I want you guys to ask if you're like, wait, what happened? What do we do to get rid of a minus 80? We add 80 on both sides. I think you're thinking that we're going to subtract, but remember we do the inverse operations. We add 80 on both sides to get rid of this minus or negative 80.
Yeah, I got that wrong.
Yeah, well, do you now recognize why?
Oh, yeah, no, I was blazing through it and I was like, oh, 80 or 180 minus 80.
What you just said is why. I was just blazing through it. You're like, bah, 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 and that's how you make mistakes.
I was so excited, I just figured out how it worked. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't do this.
I was just so excited. I'm going to quote you on that. Well, actually, you guys like math. It's other kids where I have to be like, hey, you just got excited about math.
Role play. People don't accept when they like math. People are like, oh, I'm not like, people don't like math. If you ever like math or you don't like math.
BOC, crud. BOC should be blue, really. Right? AOB, always double check. I always color code. AOB is my other small angle, not the 180. Oh, that's easy, but I don't have time to get into that today. Geometry is easy to justify with real life stuff, but literally we just don't have time. Tomorrow's classes are extra short, and I have extra stuff to do. So I realized, literally in the past 10 minutes when I said, oh, we have 20 minutes left. This class I taught to Blue last Friday. So it was only a half an hour of class. We need to start the next stuff. So, AOB, 3x, oh, we're going to put these together again. Guys, we could just do it over here. Let's set it up like an addition problem. 6x, 3x, 9x, 29, 124, 1, what? 153. Ooh, 9x is going to equal 27, meaning x will equal. Stop your hand from going to try to type that in, because that's not your answer. BOC, we need to plug that in. All right, so now BOC becomes 6 times 3 plus 29. I should zoom in a little bit. What is 6 times 3? 18. 30, 40, 47 degrees. Any questions on that? I need to double check a couple things. We do have 10 minutes left. We should start the Desmos. Go ahead and pull out your computer if you would, please. Oh, those are yours to keep. So that, just like your math notebook, guys. So this is what I keep saying. You should get a binder. Oh, because I used to block your thing. Is there a what? Your what? You wipe it with your desk and then put it back where it goes. Yeah, so when I give you in the little thing up there. See on the board where it says, hey, yeah, you, look, highlighters to borrow. If it was a snake, it would have bit you. If it... Sorry, I gotta double check something real quick, guys. I'm not sure if we skipped over some extra practice with systems of equations, but in case we did, if you guys need any help with systems of equations, please let me know. Please come to AO or extensions. So yesterday what Blue did, and I'm going to get my Desmos open again to make sure that it's unpaused, because you can work on this in AO or extensions if you would like as well. What we did yesterday in Math 8 is just an activity to help us learn the new rules that are going to continue us in our geometry and angle pairs and transversals and stuff like that. So guys, I'm going to make sure that you're good to get into this, but then I got to run down to the restroom. I apologize, but so you're looking for the activity called puzzling it out. I appreciate that. You are looking for puzzling it out. All right, I will be back in just a moment. We're in here for like 7 or 8 more minutes. I should definitely be back by then. If something happens, like, you know, another teacher kidnaps me or something, 22 is when we switch classes. It's asking you for, oh, it should, no. Just click on go to, oh. So I'm going to stop recording so you can see this a tad bit easier. See how my arrow's pointing to go to student homepage?